Okay, welcome everybody. Today we're going to be talking about accessibility resources in the library. This is part of the EIT committee initiative because library accessibility is one of the fundamental top 5 parts of EIT and ensuring that not just physical access, but mainly the informational access is there for every single one of our students and patrons that come into the library. So today we have Linn presenting on, and she's the one who heads our accessibility stuff for the library, and she's going to be presenting on the different features available today and is more than happy to answer any questions as you get on different slides, because sometimes it's easier to ask a question while we're on that topic. So feel free to unmute yourself during that point in time for any clarification you might have. But thank you, Jean, go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you, Caitlin. Thank you for arranging this. And thank you everyone for joining us today. You all know me, but I'm Jean Linn. I work in technical services and archives in the library, and I'm going to talk about some accessibility resources we have here. So first off, libraries in general are very accessible places in a broad sense. One of our core values is to provide equitable access to all our users. And here in the NCCC Library, I just wanted to highlight some library services we offer. So we have reference and research help, and anytime the library is open, we have at least one librarian available to help students, and we help students with developing their topic, creating search strategies to find information on their topic. We can also help them retrieve library materials, and that could be, because we have books on high shelves, books on really low shelves. Sometimes the call numbers are hard to read, and also call numbers aren't difficult to understand if you're not a librarian. So we can help students find and retrieve library materials. We can also help them with scanners, with printers, and other technologies. And even when the library is not open, we have a chat service, Ask Us 24/7, and when it's staffed by an NCCC librarian when we are open, and when we are closed, it's staffed by other librarians in the network. So there's always a librarian available to help students. Another feature we have is our course reserves, and those are typically textbooks or supplemental class materials like the anatomy and physiology models, and they're placed on reserve. That's in the circulation desk on the second floor. So, textbooks are very expensive. I know there's a lot of conversations going on around campus about textbooks, inclusive access, and OER. And that is a separate discussion, but I've talked to a lot of students over the years who they didn't get their financial aid right away, so they couldn't get their textbooks, or they ordered it online and it didn't arrive in time. And some of them have dropped out of classes because they weren't able to get their textbook at the start of the semester. So if you're teaching a class, we highly suggest, if you use a traditional textbook, to place a copy on reserve in the library. And then they're typically short-term loans, so they are accessible to more students. Often they're 2-hour loans. We also have overnight or 3-day loans, but it allows more students to access the material. And instruction, so we definitely encourage all instructors to schedule library instruction. We can come to your classroom. You can bring your class to the library. We can teach through Zoom or other asynchronous methods like pre-recorded videos or research guides. And we also have an interlibrary loan service. So if a student needed alternative format materials, we could acquire them through interlibrary loan. And so that could possibly be digital materials, or maybe large print books, even Braille or caption media. So that's something else that's available through the library. So how to access just physical accessibility in the library, how to access the library. We're located in D building in the center of campus. We're located in the second, third, and fourth floors of D building. Our main entrance is on the second floor of the Learning Commons. So to get into the library, there is a staircase and an elevator on the first floor of the Learning Commons, kind of across from Tim Hortons. So you would take that up to the second floor and then go west through the Distinguished Alumni hallway, and then you'd be in the library. We also have like a secret side entrance. There's an elevator in D building, that D building hallway near the digital media suite. So you can take that elevator up from the first floor, and that takes you right directly into the library. And that would also be the elevator that you would use to move between floors in the library. And so that's located in the north library hall. And so you can enter that elevator on the first floor, but you can't exit on the first floor, at least not without talking to a library staff member, and that's just a security protocol that we have. And we have restrooms on the second and third floor, and the most accessible restrooms are on the second floor, and there's also a wheelchair accessible water fountain on the second floor. We have open study areas available on all 3 floors, and the tables and desks are more or less wheelchair accessible, and I will get more information on that in a few slides. And we also have study rooms that can be reserved, and those are located on the 3rd and 4th floors, and they can be used for group study. They can also be used for students who might be using assistive technologies, who might be might not want to broadcast that, so they'd have a little bit more privacy if they're in a study room. And 2 of the rooms are outfitted what we call Zoom rooms, and that includes a desktop computer and with a webcam and microphone setup. I think a lot of us take for granted internet and computers, because there's a lot of people who might not have a computer, who might access the web through a mobile device, or might not have internet or high-speed internet at home. So these rooms have been really popular for students to take their synchronous online classes. We've actually had a couple adjunct instructors utilize them as well to conduct their online classes through the library. And some assistive technologies that we have available, on the second floor, there's both a book scanner, that's our Kick scanner, and that's located on the side of the circulation desk, and in our computer area, just off the circulation desk, just south of it, we have a flatbed scanner. Both of these scanners will scan to PDF. Very shortly, we will have a CCTV text magnifier, so that would allow any book or print document to have the text enlarged. And we have what's called a C pen, which is, you see the photo right here. It's like a miniature scanner. You would use it almost like a highlighter, where you would drag it across the text and it would read the text out loud. So it does the text to speech just automatically as you drag the pen across the paper. And that's available for any student to loan out at the circulation desk. Our computers, and I think most student computers, are outfitted with Read and Write Gold, which provides this text-to-speech function. Also Zoom Text, which can, as the name implies, it would enlarge the text. And Not currently installed, but it can be installed, is JAWS, and that's a screen reader program. And the software is also available on the computers in ACE, and I believe the computers on the first floor of the Learning Commons as well. Other assistive technologies we have in the library, in the past 3 to 4 years, we've increased access to digital content tremendously. We have a lot more, we subscribe to a lot more ebook collections, streaming video databases, streaming audiobooks. So anytime content is accessible in a digital format, it really amplifies the access. I mean, for one, we've had so many more students that are remote. So having digital ebooks allows them to, to access the content from home. If they're not coming to campus, they can access these books from home. And also when it's in a digital format, it can be manipulated. So it could have like the text-to-speech functions where it would, read the book out loud or the text out loud. And you could also enlarge the text. A lot of our databases come with some of these features, the text-to-speech, translation tools, and different display tools that allow the text to be enlarged, or the contrast to be adjusted, the color to be adjusted. The software that I just mentioned does a lot of that as well, but our library databases have a lot of these functions built right in, and I am going to demo that shortly. And our film databases, they all include closed captioning, and some of them, the Films on Demand database, it includes the transcript, and you can actually download the transcript as well. And like I mentioned before, through interlibrary loan and possibly acquisition, we can acquire alternative formats, whether it's ebooks, whether it's large print, braille, or audio. We can acquire different formats of materials, but I did a quick caveat about that. If it's a textbook, if a student needs an alternative format textbook, you should reach out to Caitlin and Accessibility Services. The library will help students find research materials or recreational reading materials, but if it's a textbook, it should go through Accessibility Services.
And that's something that Donna's going to be covering tomorrow in her presentation, is selecting textbooks and course materials as well. But anytime that there isn't something that's accessible, we work with the publishers, as long as the student buys a copy, to get that additional accessible copy of a textbook. So ideally the textbook is straight out the box accessible, but if it's not, that's something our office will take over.
And some of our future goals, some of these are very imminent, some of these are long-term, and in coordination with our awesome Accessibility Services department, we will be offering some sensory kits that students could check out at the circulation desk. So if they're stressed, they could check these kits out, and they have like fidget tools, just some sensory tools to help them. We are also going to outfit one of the study rooms as a sensory friendly room. So that would have some additional seating and lighting options. So that will be forthcoming. Very imminent. There will be a link to our accessibility services directly on the library homepage. We're also going to be adding some additional scanners and document readers, an enlarged keyboard for students who might have vision issues, and we're looking at additional furniture. I mentioned that our current study areas are wheelchair accessible more or less. So we're going to look at some more specialized furniture, maybe a desk that's adjustable, but some additional furniture. And we're also looking into updating our classroom D303. It has a very fixed layout. So we're thinking about making it into an active learning classroom. So it would have a more flexible layout and just be more conducive to active learning. So I think that is the end of my slides. So I was going to demo a couple databases to show you some of the features that are available in the databases, but I didn't know if anyone had questions or comments before I move on to that.
Been beautiful so far. Thank you, Jean.
Jean, in your demonstration,
so I will open up our database list. So I'll start with Films on Demand, one of our film databases. This is a really popular one. So I'm just going to click on this title. So when you play the film, there's an option to add the closed captioning here. And you can also, on the right, there's a link to the transcript. So you can pull up the transcript and it will highlight the text as it's being, as the audio is being played. And you can also download the transcript as a PDF. You should be able to download the transcript as a PDF. There we go. So that could be used. That could be used by a screen reader or enlarged. So you'd have access to the entire transcript of the film. Then I will demo two of our others, like popular databases and a popular database vendor. So Academic OneFile is through Gale. Let's be really meta. And we'll just search for accessibility in libraries. Academic journals. So if I pull up an article here in Gale, right up here, there's different options like sharing options, but also accessibility features. For one, there's a translation tool. So if a student, if English is not their first language, you know, they can read the article in French if they would like. You can decrease the font size, you can increase the font size, you can change the font, the colors, the spacing, and then there's the option to listen to the article, to create it as an audio file. And as you play it, it will highlight the text. It is a very, computer sounding voice. And then you can also download the audio as an MP3 file. And you can also download the article as a PDF, and these are tagged PDFs, so that makes it a lot easier to read on a screen reader. So that's an example of the accessibility features in a Gale database. And I will show you one other vendor, EBSCO, which is another popular, one of our popular database vendors. So this is Academic Search Complete, and we will also search for libraries and accessibility. So EBSCO is a little bit different, where Gale, like all of the Gale articles have that HTML option, which has that like text to speech function built in. For EBSCO, they don't all do. So you would look for the HTML full text. So with the HTML, then you'd have that audio function. And you can still download it as an MP3, and you can change the size of the text. You can also change the voice in this one as well. And you can change also with Gale, I didn't show that, but you can also change the reading speed, so it can read the text slower. And there's also that PDF full text. And some articles, I'm going to go back to the results list. Some articles only have the PDF full text. So in that case, a student would have to use one of the other software programs. They are tagged PDFs, but would have to use a different screen reader or text-to-speech software if they wanted to listen to these articles.
And all students have access to download Read and Write Gold on their personal devices to use as a reader as well. There's only the case of some students that may be using something like JAWS, where the PDF might not read correctly, and our office or the library may have to just convert it to a Word doc for the student.
Sure. And we have that software in the library too, so we can convert files. We can convert Word to PDF or PDF to Word, and we would be happy to do that. So that concludes what I had planned. Does anyone have questions, comments, concerns?
I don't see any questions, so I think that was beautiful, Jean. Why am I saying, I'm trying to put your first and last name together today. It's just the rest of the coffee has not been finished. But thank you for your wonderful presentation, and I'm happy to see we're covering a lot more accessibility. And I know personally working with you, we've put a lot more things into play, hopefully in the next academic year, to really have the library have some accessible formats there. Donna, do you have a question? Maren was asking in the chat.
I wasn't sure how deep she was going to show how to pull the content into a course or anything. I was just going to recommend that if anybody looks at these databases and chooses to use any of this information, that they actually link out to it into the library, because if they use that link in their courses now, and when they roll over to Brightspace, the links will still work.
Okay.
Yes, there's permalinks in the EBSCO database.
When you say permanent links, do you mean that they won't need to log into the library using a username and password?
No, they would still need to log in.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
they would need to know that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording now.